Boom. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It is that time of the year again. This year, the third annual edition of the top 5 fall fragrances for men. This time, the 2025 edition. I have to be honest with you, this is likely the hardest year yet to narrow down this list to just 5 fragrances. There is several that are just simply not going to get the credit and the flowers that they deserve. Obviously, I'm going to try to shout out some of them in the honorable mentions portion of this video, but others I'm sure you'll see in fall-related videos and even as we get into the winter time. So, really stacked list. And some really tough competition in 2023. It was YSL myself, and last year it was JPG's Le Male Le Parfum. That were the 2 winners the past 2 years of the best fall fragrance. And so we'll see what takes the cake and gets the crown this year, but let's jump into some honorable mentions real quick. So as I mentioned, there are going to be some honorable mention fragrances. Nishani, this is probably one of Canyon's most complimented fragrances in his entire collection. Really, really nice. It's got a sweet, warm, spicy kind of a citrus, but really appealing. You could get away with it certainly in this fall season of the year. And a really nice fragrance, but just doesn't quite reach the top 5 in today's video. Also as well, you have City Rhythms Austin. There's actually another City Rhythm fragrance in this video. I know we talk about them all the time for the spring and summer, but they've packed quite the punch here recently in their fall and wintertime collection, and Austin is no different. Very rich, very dark, very boozy, tobacco-heavy kind of a fragrance. So if that's kind of your taste, then you would probably really like this fragrance. But that's also an honorable mention. And then the last one I'll mention here is Mind Games French Defense. This honestly will likely make the top 5 video for wintertime. Super addicting black cherry note. You get some rose, some amber, some woods in the base. Really, really nice fragrance. That black cherry note in the opening is one of the more unique openings to a fragrance I've ever smelled. Super addicting. You can't stop smelling it once you spray it on skin. And I think this would be an evening fall kind of scent, but certainly you could rock it in the wintertime as well. But had to just mention it because Mind Games is doing some good work there as well. But without further ado, let's jump in with number 5. So coming in at number 5 is Givenchy's Gentleman's Society EDP Ombre. Really new fragrance. It actually came out several months ago. Honestly, if I remember correctly, it came out right in the springtime, maybe going into summer. Kind of a weird time for it to come out, considering the note breakdown. You get some nutmeg, clary sage, juniper, orris, sandalwood, Madagascar vetiver, Haitian vetiver, tobacco, Madagascar vanilla, and Peru balsam. Out of that entire note breakdown, I think really the nutmeg, the sandalwood, the tobacco, and the vanilla. You kind of hone in on those 4 notes, and you'll get a pretty good idea of what this fragrance smells like. It's super rich and smooth vanilla. The tobacco isn't very harsh or off-putting. It's kind of mixed in there as well. And I think it just has this kind of a smooth nuttiness to it. All the woods, the nutmeg, the vanilla, the tobacco, all of it just comes together to create really a soft and not super loud or screechy fall fragrance, but it's done so well. And it's got a nice bit of denseness to it that will certainly work in this cooler season. I know we've talked about Givenchy before in some of these videos and given them some honorable mentions, but this is the latest release from them, and it is a really nice addition to your collection. And it's very affordable, obviously, at a designer level. It's been out for several months now, so you can get it at an affordable price point. And shout out to Givenchy. They're doing a good work, and they cracked this year's list at number 5. Coming in at number 4, I told you there was another City Rhythm fragrance to be mentioned. This is City Rhythm's Manhattan Midnights. And honestly, the camera's not even doing the color of the fragrance justice, but this looks like a blue Powerade. And honestly, that's what it gets a lot of comparisons to. You get some violet leaf and bergamot in the opening, pimento, tea, frankincense, pepper, myrrh, rose, and then in the base, tobacco, vetiver, and vanilla. Honestly, what you could tie this fragrance to is honestly like a blue Powerade with the citrus and stuff in the top, but add the pimento and the tea and the tobacco. It's almost a spicier kind of tobacco version of Blue Powerade. I know that sounds crazy. That probably doesn't sound that good to you. Honestly, when people were describing it to me before I smelled it, I kind of had the same train of thought. But you got to get your nose on it. It projects so well. Canyon's actually had it in his car because they came out with the new car scent diffusers, almost like air fresheners, but with their fragrances. And it's really nice. So cracks the number 4 slot. I do think it is the best cold weather fragrance they have right now, and so that's why it cracks this list at number 4. And really all their new stuff. Martha's Vineyard, this, Austin, everything they're coming out with here recently, or at least that has been established in their line. It's really nice, and you got to check this out. Very, very unique fragrance for the fall. There's no doubt in my mind about that. You will be one-of-a-kind smell, but in the best way possible when wearing this. Coming in at number 3, we have Soul Cafe, my latest kind of addition. I remember I highlighted this fragrance exclusively in a video not too long ago, but honestly, this could be higher just based off of smell alone, but I think its versatility, I can't, in good heart and conscience, I can't put it like number 1 or number 2 just because of its versatility. Like, I could get away with this, I think, all 4 seasons and in the spring and the summertime. But honestly, I think the coffee, the pepper, and the tobacco in this make it such a good and really unique fragrance for this time of the year. As I mentioned, this fragrance to me smells like you're in a coffee shop, and there's some, got that lavender, got the citrus going on. Maybe that's the air freshener they have in the air, or they're making some sweet pastries. That's kind of the idea that this fragrance carries. It is that perfect blend of coffee and pepper, kind of that dense aspect of the fragrance, also mixed with like a blood, juicy orange and lavender. And so really there's a lot going on here, but it is done in the best way possible. This is such a good fragrance, and I understand now why so many people hold this in such a high regard. It is really simply that good. You're going to have to check this out if you haven't already. Of course, this is Canyon's bottle. You get to see my decant, which is almost out at this point. But really, this works so well for the fall. I like I said, how it has that balance. It lasts. It projects very well. I cannot complain there. Gets a lot of positive attention. And really, the mood and the vibe that this fragrance conveys, I think it's perfect for like a college football Saturday. You're cooking and stuff, and you're watching the games outside, and the leaves are falling. And you get this coffee, tobacco, black pepperness, along with some of the lavender and blood orange to just round this fragrance together to tie it up with a bow on top. And that's why it's number 3. I really do like this fragrance, and you got to check it out. Super unique, and it's going to be a good one for fall of 2025. Coming in at number 2, last year's winner, I couldn't not include this fragrance in this video. I mean, obviously every year between these videos, I try to change it up. Obviously new fragrances come in. I try obviously not to just have the same list every single year, but I don't see a world where Le Male Parfum is not included in one of these videos for fall and for winter time. This is truly, I think, a top 10 fragrance of all time. You can make that argument, and I wouldn't call you crazy. Canyon would certainly agree, so it's top 10 in his collection. And this is maybe the greatest vanilla fragrance ever made. A lot of people kind of tie this into Prada Black. That's why you'll often see this and Prada Black layered together, which they're both this powdery, vanilla, kind of mysterious fragrance, and it just works so well. But Le Male Parfum, so smooth, so mass appealing. Nobody is going to not like this fragrance. I've never met anybody that doesn't, at least. Gets you compliments. Its projection, its longevity, checks all the boxes. It's a home run of a fragrance. It really is. And I know a lot of people will be drawn to the Elixir, especially this year now with the Elixir Absolute, the latest one they came out with there. But I think still the Le Male Parfum, it's still just the very best cold weather fragrance from JPG. And it's one of the best fall designer fragrances that you can get. And you're going to smell better than 99% of the population from now until March or April. I mean, that's just a guarantee with this. And so, super good. I can't say anything else about it. I think that's the very best we can put it in. I've given it its roses, And if you haven't smelled it already, I don't know what you're doing. This is one of the most popular fragrances ever. But Le Male Parfum is so good. Chef's Kiss, home run, A+. And it's number 2. So it almost went back-to-back. But we got a new champion for the fall of 2025. And coming in at the number 1 spot, Parfums de Marly Layton. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I could have put Altair at the number 1 spot. I could have put Eau Jean at the number 1 spot. I could have put Haultain at the number 1 spot. I could have put Herod at the number 1 spot. Really, honestly, I think Altair is probably the closest one out of all those to dethroning Layton. I would still give Layton the edge, but honestly, if your favorite PDM is Altair, which honestly, some days it is mine. It just kind of varies. They're that neck and neck. I wouldn't call you crazy for that. But Layton is a modern niche masterpiece. Lavender, apple, bergamot, mandarin orange, geranium, violet, jasmine, vanilla, cardamom, sandalwood, pepper, guaiac wood, and patchouli. It is such a nice balance between the apple, the lavender, the bergamot, this nice, juicy, bright opening, but then it quickly goes from citrus heavy to more dark and smooth and mysterious with the vanilla, the cardamom, the sandalwood, the guaiac wood, and the pepper. It's got a nice richness, density. It projects well. It lasts all day. It is a compliment machine. And really, you cannot go wrong. Any occasion, date night, honestly, I think you could pull it off wearing it to school or wearing it to work, depending on what that situation looks like for you. It is a do-it-all fragrance for these kind of months of the year. And I know PDM, some of my favorite fragrances ever, like Sedley, that's more spring and summertime geared. But honestly, their fall collection, Layton, as I mentioned, Altair, Haultain as well, those 3 in particular really stand out in my mind as personal favorites. And so this takes the cake at number 1. But as I've said, PDM, you could insert any of the other fragrances I mentioned from their fall and wintertime collection. I think it could work in these colder months in the fall. So just keep that in mind. But this does take the cake. Number 1, the best fall fragrance for men, at least for this year, 2025. And it's honestly, for a niche fragrance, I think you can find it on discounters. You can get it pretty affordable, especially from places like Olfactory or Jomas Shop when they have their massive PDM sales. And so just keep that in mind. But be sure to check this one out if you haven't already. I'm sure you have, though. Such a popular and well-known fragrance. But that's all for my list, but I would love to hear yours. Drop down in the comments section below what your favorite fragrances are for fall this year. Like I said, there were some I could have included, but just didn't have the space or room to. And maybe you'll have some of those in your list. So I'd look forward to hearing those. I'll be interacting with the comments down below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Continue. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I hope we're at 2.5K subs by now, at least when this video goes out. But if not, please subscribe. We're trying to get to 2.5K, and we'd love to complete that journey soon. But that's all for me, and you guys stay safe. Have a great week, and God bless.